it raw, I'm serving it raw, I'm serving it raw. I'm serving it raw.
Happy was a younger kid than me, and he had like Jimi Hendrix Lifeline tapes, and I'm a Hendrix fan. So we'll share different stuff like that for us, the underground and real behind the scenes, authentic music. So our mesh with music, we could talk to each other mentally in one sense of the word. If I give him an idea and he go produce it overnight, that song's like The Last Outlaw, The Day They Made Me Boss. I walked in and he was tinkering with the keyboard, tinkering around with it. And I heard what he was doing. And I just, hey, man, add some drums to that shit. What the producer can't hear, the lyricist can hear, and vice versa sometimes. So that's the makings of that 85% of that album was him sharing the idea with me sharing the idea with him. And the rest here, again, is history.
Ooh. Hey, boy, y'all chemistry was something else. I ain't even gonna lie. That's why I definitely wanted to touch on that. And shout out to Happy, man.
Yes, sir. Shout out to Happy.
Yeah. Okay, now people, I know some people might have paid attention to this, some people probably didn't. I was one of those hip hop heads that paid attention to this. And Boosie's youngest of the camp, they had a coming soon where it said Smokey and Da Bandit, and it had, him and C-Loc. But if people can kind of recall, that album actually was supposed to be you and C-Loc because it actually advertised first in the Holocaust booklet.
Yes, sir. Okay, absolutely.
So what was the theme? What was the theme that you and C-Loc was planning to explore in that unreleased album?
In a sense, in real life, we grew more like Craig and Smokey on Friday. You know what I'm saying? I smoked weed all the time. He didn't smoke at the time, that type of thing. So he was big brother to me for us, streetwise and otherwise. Our mothers went to high school together. So in life later on, we hooked up without knowing that. You know what I mean? So family and neighborhood origins. But at the time, before I changed my name finally to Young Bleed, my name right before that was G-Loc, G-L-O-C, Ghetto Life Outcast was my name. And I didn't know him. He was my DJ in middle school, and we separated for a time and got back together in our later teenage years. And when I realized his name was C-Loc, we didn't know this about each other. I was G-Loc. We first decided to do an album called A Pair of Locs, where I was telling him, look, man, let's put our face together, kind of like the face-off shit, and put a pair of Locs on our face. Then later on, he came up with, let's just do a Smokey and Da Bandit, which, due to the breakup of the clique and all that type of thing, we never had a chance to do that record. But yeah, you did your homework, my brother. That go way back.
Yes, Lord.
Absolutely.
Well, hey, I know you and C-Loc on, I know y'all had like some friction back then, and I know y'all on good terms now, and that's that's one thing that I always strive to bring, like, hey, just seeing y'all back cool and everything is good, man. That's lovely for hip hop.
Well, not actually, man. And being honest, that's my bro for life and all that. But since those days, man, sad but true to say, we hadn't talked and been able to reconcile. I done made some efforts, but it take two, you know what I mean, to make a thing go right. And I don't think he didn't came, to terms to be able to do that with me ultimately. You know what I mean? So, God bless the day that we sit down and perhaps could put our differences aside. You know what I mean? It go both ways. I had my thoughts and theories on how things should have been. He had his. And when everything got to his blast, it separated us. Before then, we was best of friends. You know what I mean? You couldn't say a bad word about me. You couldn't say a bad word about him. But that separated us. Money, youthfulness, all that. You know what I mean? Like Jay-Z would say, we had no knowledge of this shit. We was with whatever. Yeah. So we come from a street hood in a neighborhood and blew the city up. And that took us from Baton Rouge to Los Angeles, California by Ada Master P and No Limit Records and Priority Records eventually. So we had the same kind of NWA evolution where I separated from the clique and signed directly to Priority. So it's never been the same for us a personal note since then.
Okay. Yeah. Well, hey, I do pray and hope, y'all are able to have a discussion, man. Like I said, I mean, y'all are two people that I grew up on, and I've always seen y'all together back then. That's how I started listening to our music with y'all two together. So, I know, yes, sir. I have no doubt that'll happen. So after your situation with Priority, you ended up signing and doing a deal with Sibo.
Yeah.
Okay, and being part of the West Coast Mafia.
Not right after that. just to give you the gaps,
Mm-hmm.
I went back from Priority Records when they folded, and in the process of my third album, the creation of it, Vintage.
The Vintage.
I needed an outlet for vintage. And, you know, it's a funny thing. It's like banks. As long as you got money, they'll loan you some money. You know what I'm saying? But when you don't have no money, then everybody go their separate ways. So long as I was on Priority, every record company was trying to bring me into their situation. I'm a loyalist, so I never left Priority. But they ended up folding under me. So it forced me back, in a sense, to an independent situation. And the first and only people that really opened the doors to me, and I always include them, is Mr. Johnny Phillips and Selecto Hits distribution out of Memphis, Tennessee. So I go on to produce and put out a couple of records under there right before West Coast Mafia. So I wanted to give you that information. Yes, sir.
No, thank you. Now, speaking of Vintage, what is supposed to be the actual title for that? Because that has always been a thing as well that I've heard. You know, it's kind of like a Tupac's, like the Machiavelli album. You know, you know how the title was technically supposed to be Machiavelli the Don, and then the name of the album was supposed to be called Illuminati, the 7-Day Theory. But they, but you know, they messed up the wording, so it looked like it's just Machiavelli, and then the title is the Don Illuminati, the 7-Day Theory, and that's not how it's supposed. So I've always had an issue with the Vintage. Is this supposed to be Young Bleed Coleon's Vintage or Coleon's Vintage?
Well, really, the thing is, when I was on Priority, my whole effort was to always, you know, it's like first, middle, and last name. The young that bleed for this mafia, rap mafia done generation. You see what I'm saying? When you break it down in 3 terms. But I always presented that to Priority, but for whatever reason, I don't know to this day, they wouldn't allow me to put the Corleone on the record. You know what I mean? So we went with Young Bleed, ran with it. The public took to it. You know, don't rock the boat. If it ain't, you know, broke, don't fix it type of thing. So when I got to Selecto Hits, they gave me a little bit more creative freedom to do whatever I wanted to do. So I did what I set out to do initially by adding a Corleone, Young Bleed Corleone. You hear me say that throughout my whole career. But I wanted to advertise that for people.